from 10 years ago and how it's impacting Turkey today with my guest Mustafa Caner. So when you look back at the past 10 years and what's happened domestically, but also from a foreign policy perspective, which two events, one domestic, one foreign policy, as an example, would you say were most impacted or most influenced by July 15th?
Well, thanks, Yusuf, for this question. I'll begin with the domestic dimension of this question. We have experienced many, substantial developments internally. I mean, for one, we have adopted this presidential system. So the government style of Turkey has changed. And I believe, considering Turkey's geopolitical position and its political culture, I think the presidential system suits the best for Turkey. Of course, there are some minor issues. No system is perfect, but I think it brought about many essential changes. I mean, it brought stability. I mean, the capacity to, make quick decisions and implement that decisions, execute that decisions. So I think internally we have experienced this shift, and I think it was very, important. But for foreign policy area, I think these changes that really impossible to avoid or ignore took place in the imminent geography, the surrounding area of Turkey, in the Middle East, for example. Just 5 weeks after the failed coup attempt, Turkey conducted a cross-border operation, Operation Euphrates Shield, which was a very important military operation inside Syria, northern Syria, and we cleared this area from terrorist elements and created a buffer zone for Turkey to protect its national borders. As you remember, before this operation, Turkey unfortunately experienced many terrorist attacks inside the country, in our homeland. And after this cross-border operation and many additional operations inside Syria, we were able to, protect our national borders and defend our national interests. This is one example, and pretty important one. And we were also able to set a diplomatic table and establish a platform which was called Astana peace process, and we did that with two back then in Syria with two actors in Iran and Russia, which were the other side of the equation. They were defending the Assad regime, and we were supporting the opposition. So we were able to do that, and it showed us that we stopped being reactive in the foreign policy area and we became proactive. So we were setting, tables, we were, launching diplomatic processes, and we were actually, determining the field, the conditions in the field. So I think it was pretty important. We stopped being reactive. And this also means that we have adopted a strategic autonomous position, a posture. So it is actually contributed to Turkey's independent foreign policy.
Now, 10 years ago, obviously the defeated coup attempt on July 15, 2016. And 10 years later, just a week ago, NATO summit in Ankara. After July 15th, there was a loss of confidence or a mistrust in the relationships with many of Turkey's Western allies. Some of the reactions very late, some of the reactions not using the word democracy, but stability, continuity, vague words that don't quite identify the intentions of what your allies are. I mean, are they looking to support the democratically elected government or supporting whoever's in power? Doesn't really matter. Very vague, and that created an era of mistrust. But a week ago, NATO summit in Ankara, leaders around Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. 10 years ago, Turkey's military might after the coup attempt was being questioned. Is the Air Force still as strong as it was? NATO's second largest army, but how strong is it? How much resolve does it have? Is the army loyal to the president, to the commander-in-chief? But now we're seeing a very different Turkey. Has the questions regarding Turkey's military might completely been dispelled? And has the relationship, especially from a security perspective, been healed with the Western allies, especially NATO allies?
Absolutely. I mean, Turkey established itself as a strong military power throughout these 10 years. These allies have seen Turkey in Karabakh, in Syria, you know, in Libya, Eastern Mediterranean, how Turkey, set its posture strongly, how it developed its defense capabilities and also defense industry. I mean, Turkey established and developed a very robust defense industry, and this is really impossible to ignore. I mean, we have many customers in line to buy our drones, our, a lot of different equipments. So yes, Turkey proved its strength in the field, and I think that's what motivated our allies to do business with us and to, bridge the gaps, the existing gaps, and also, heal these trust issues. So you have, rightfully pointed out last week's NATO summit. The picture was pretty clear, and there was no need for explanation. Every actor wants to be with Turkey, wants to, connect with Turkey, build strong ties, connections with Turkey. Because, as you know, Donald Trump's participation itself was a success, and it showed Turkey's power. And it showed that how Turkey can really change the equation. I mean, the message was in the place. Ankara, the NATO summit convened in Ankara, showed that Turkey is a, trustworthy ally. Every member of this alliance, NATO, showed great respect to President Erdogan and Turkey also. So I think this was a major success for Turkey. I mean, the organization itself was also pretty successful, but behind that, Turkey's power, Turkey's strength, Turkey proved itself throughout these 10 years, and now for all these allies, our Western allies, doing business with Turkey is a must, because there are a lot of issues, divergences between NATO members and the United States, divergences, cracks inside Europe. So every member should consider its defense, its capabilities, its capacity, and must do business with Turkey.
10 years ago, the question was, is Turkey a regional power? Now it's very well established. I don't think anyone questions Turkey being a regional power. I think the question now is Turkey an inter-regional power?
Yeah.
It's been a fantastic day today. The banks of the beautiful Bosphorus behind us, the Turkish people commemorating their 250 martyrs, their thousands of heroes, the many injured, and the veterans of July 15th, celebrating democracy as well. At the end of the day, they've been out here in full force throughout the day at the People's Park here in Istanbul, but they were the main characters of July 15th. It is their holiday, and they were celebrating with beautiful weather. Thanks for joining me today. Back to the studio.
Our was Yusuf Erim and Professor Mustafa Janal of Saqqara University. Thank you.